Welcome to the A to B podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A to B podcast. We are here today with two business owners that used to be Marines. Well, what's a Marine's always a Marine. We're here with Sean Young today. You guys might know him from TikTok. He likes to live that flashy life on TikTok. We're going to be talking to him about it today. And we also got Dylan Salivar, which he used to be a Marine. He got out of the Marine Corps, and now he owns his marketing company here in Southern California. As you guys know, I'm always joined by my side man right here, Barry Bull. Don't leave me hanging, Barry, because I'm here right now. Okay.
That was close. Oh, man.
Very close.
I am so sorry. Lo siento, which we know that's Spanish.
So we're here with Barry, and before we start the podcast, we know that he hasn't seen this, by the way. I promise you, this is going to be a first-time reaction to this. I actually have something with Barry. You know how always Barry likes to clown on the recruiter.
To be nice.
Whatever. You know how you always like to say.
And kind.
That the East Coast.
Like drill instructors from Paris Island.
So I got him a little bit of something. Jose, can you bring me that?
Should I close my eyes?
No, don't close your eyes. You're good. I want an honest reaction from you.
Okay.
So let me get this right now.
I was not expecting this, you guys.
I appreciate this, man. So let me see which one's this one. Ha! This one's his right here. Hey guys, I don't know if we can do a close up or whatnot, but hey guys, I got him a mug because I used to.
Wow.
I used to be.
Yes.
I used to be very mad at the previous podcast when there was like a bunch of water bottles and stuff. It's like, man, you know what? I'm gonna give him a mug that way he can put whatever he wants in here. It can be a tasty beverage. It can be anything else. But it's right here, man. It says. It's a dog.
It's
a bulldog.
I'm your dog. You're like, that's what.
With a campaign cover on.
Okay.
And then it says crayon eater.
Right, which is what I am.
So here you go.
Oh,
man.
So
good.
And because I couldn't let you do that on your own.
Okay.
I got myself one, but I got one with the real Marine Corps uniform.
Yeah.
Because as you know, recruiters are professional human beings.
Yeah, but look at his arms. His arms are buff. He's a buff nugget.
Yeah, but we got a weapon, so it really doesn't matter how buff you are.
I don't know. I mean, obviously mine is better.
Guys, please comment which one do you like better. Do you like Barry's better or do you like mine better? And let us know in the comments which one would you buy. I'm not selling them, but which one would you
These are not
buy?
for sale.
Yeah, this one's not for sale. I'll sign them or whatever. But yes.
Albert will sell you the shirt off of his back and many other things, but not this cup.
So
he sells a lot of lies.
So let's get started, man. Sean, Dylan, welcome to the A to B podcast, guys.
Yeah,
excited to have you guys. Now, Sean, let's get started with you, right? Who is Sean Young?
All right, awesome. Just a quick introduction. Number one, thank you guys for having me on today. I'm grateful to be here. But I'm originally from LA, born and raised, I think pretty close to where you're at in Long Beach. Right?
Yeah.
I'm from San Pedro originally.
Very close.
Very close. And I joined the Marine Corps in 2014, right after high school. I was talking to Dylan about it on the way here. It was kind of like a last minute decision that I did. And
Really?
It was. So I was actually thinking about trying to go to a party school when I was looking at colleges. And I was like, you know what? That's not for me, so let me join the Marine Corps. And then I realized that the Marine Corps was pretty much a party school.
Wow. Do you remember your recruiter?
I do remember my recruiter.
Yeah,
I actually
who is
still talk to him. His name is, he got out as a Gunnery Sergeant Badua.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout
Gunnery
out to
Sergeant Badua.
If you're out there.
From what station?
RSS Redondo Beach.
Yeah, RSS Redondo Beach. You guys out there doing the Lord's work.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. So I was recruited as a aviation mechanic. My recruiter told me that I'd be shooting guns out of helicopters, and then next thing you know, I was working on jet engines. So
We're gonna have to take back that shout out. I'm sorry.
Hey, not all of us are liars, okay? Shout out.
Right, so pretty much I was an easy close for the recruiter. He pretty much just closed me. After he told me about the different little things that he's like, hey, what do you want?
The benefit tags.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. So I was like, I want to travel, I want growth. And he's like, we could travel the world, we could do all these things. And then I got to my unit and it's like, hey, we're not really deploying. So I was like, all right, well, here I am. So I was trying to find my way outside of the MOS and I got meritoriously promoted to corporal. And then I got histed for MSG. They were upsizing at the time. I went to Iraq for my first post in Baghdad, and then I went to Naples, Italy from there, and then I went to Algeria. I came back to the U.S. in 2020. I got promoted to Staff Sergeant. I was fairly young, so I was 23.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Wow.
Right, I was
Wow.
moving.
So what is that? 5 years in the Marine Corps?
It was about 6, like right
6?
before 6 years.
Okay.
I got promoted to Staff Sergeant.
Wow.
That's young.
Right. I originally planned on doing 20 years. I got married, and from there I realized that my family to me was more important than anything else, and I didn't want to continuously be separated.
Yeah.
And from there, I was looking at ways to get out of the Marine Corps, to do other things. MSG had, a big impact on my life. I was going to school for criminal justice and had the TS clearance, all that great stuff. And then very unexpectedly, my dad passed away. My
Oh,
dad was
man.
also a Marine. He was 0311. And from there, it kind of just opened my eyes because I realized having a family of my own, I want to make sure I'm able to provide for them and pretty much give them the life that I didn't have growing up. And my dad passed so much debt onto our family, and it made me realize that I know nothing about finances. I don't know how my TSP works. I was never really taught about it. And I feel like that was my fault, but also I was never taught in school. I wasn't taught in the military. So I felt like there was a lot of things that were missing. So I started looking at ways to produce additional income first to be able to pay for my dad's funeral expenses. And I started driving Uber. That was like the first thing. I was like, how can I make money? So I started driving Uber. And I was also looking into real estate. Actually, that was the first thing that I wanted to get into, but I realized that it would have taken me a little bit longer to attain my license than I wanted to. I was trying to do something fast, a little bit faster. I looked into drop shipping, trading, and all these different things that were out there. And I was pretty much, the way I came into business and entrepreneurship was a prayer that was answered. So for me, I was never big in faith or anything like that. But I remember praying, I said, God, if you're up there, if there's someone in heaven, please, give me a sign, give me something that's going to be able to provide me an opportunity for a better life for myself and my family. And then the very next day, I was pretty much introduced to the industry that I'm in now, which is the financial and insurance business. So I was able to attain my state licenses when I was stationed in Arizona at the time. And then from there, I was able to start my own company. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was able to make multiple 6 figures, and I just got out about five months ago. So now I'm based here in San Diego, running my own company. I have a big team, amazing team. So shout out to Team Legacy out there. I love you guys.
Hell yeah.
And shout out to my family, my wife, and my son as well. So
Okay, so
Awesome.
lots to unpack there.
Yep.
We're definitely going to go back to it, right? But we also want to know who Dylan Salivar is. So Dylan, talk to us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, sir. So basically born and raised in Fresno, California. So it's like
We got a bunch of Cali people today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to the 559.
Yes, sir. 559. I'm actually surprised you're aware of 559. Have you been through there before? Or?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So not the greatest place, right? Not the greatest place to grow up. It's a little bit run down, right? So I grew up pretty poor, just pretty modest lifestyle, humble beginnings. And I was at this point where I was 17 years old and I wasn't making any money, and I actually just was in a situation where I wasn't living with my family. I was just very stubborn. I was getting in a lot of trouble, you know what I mean? So I realized, I was living on my own. I didn't have any money. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had this girlfriend at the time, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life, right? So that's when the Marine Corps kind of got introduced to me. My grandfather was a Marine. He had the flag up and, Eagle Globe anchor everywhere in his office. I was like, maybe I want to be a Marine, So when I went to the recruiter station, they got the Army, Navy, Air Force all lined up. And I was like, you know what? I want to choose the hardest branch. The hardest branch is, they say it's the Marines. So let's give it a shot, right? So I went in there, the guys all dressed up all nice. And let's just say I was a very easy close. He didn't really have to close me. I was like, hey man, when can I leave? When can I get out of here? So he's like, cool man, let's talk about your job real quick. He got my job set out. And my goal, my mentality was that I was actually going to use the Marine Corps as a stepping stone. I didn't have the intention of using it as, 20 years, something like that. I was like, let me use this and let me become a better person from this and let me see what I can gain, right? That was my mentality. So, I went through my military career, got deployed once, went to Guam, Hawaii. That was probably my best military experience. Currently, right now, we did 4 years, so just one and done pretty much. But on my way out, I was always interested in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship was always something that interested me because I was always so intrigued by becoming my own boss and just by having, I always loved leadership. I've always been passionate about it. So I started probably 7, 8, 9, 10 different businesses. I was cutting hair, I was making music, I was making beats, I was doing stocks. The list just goes on. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just doing stuff. And then, you know, I reached this point where I wasn't seeing any success. I wasn't making any money. So I was like, I'm also very big in my faith. So I prayed to God and I said, God, you know, what is it that you want me to do? I would come home and I'd be upset because I hated my job. My leadership wasn't the greatest. And I said, like God, what is my purpose? What do you want me to do here, right? That is when he introduced me. He's, you know, I ended up leveraging what I was passionate about in the beginning. So I started making tons of content on social media. I just wanted to help people. Motivational content to help people become better versions of themselves because I've always been intrigued in that.
Okay.
So I started doing that, and I did that consistently for 8 or 9 months, made $0, and it was actually very difficult because I told myself I was going to go a whole year without missing content. Every day you're going to be posting. I was coming home from the Marine Corps and just posting every day. Didn't miss. What that ended up teaching me was social media algorithms. It taught me how to grow and influence, you know, how to target individuals. It taught me a lot about TikTok and Instagram specifically, and YouTube, because I was actually a YouTuber for, you know, a couple months as well. You know, and so it taught me all those things, and I realized like what essentially I'm doing is marketing, right?
Yeah.
I'm creating a personal brand out of myself. I'm turning myself into someone that people know, that people see on the internet. So I was on TikTok one day scrolling through, and I actually came across Sean right here. And I was like, hey, this guy's pretty squared away. He's a Marine, you know, driving nice cars. Like, cool, man. I'll reach out to him. I shot him a DM, man. I shot him the DM. And
You slid in his DMs.
slid in his DMs, man.
Wow.
Straight up slid in his DMs, right?
Okay.
On TikTok. I reached out to him. We hopped on a call. My intention was to get to know him. And anyways, long story short, man, I ended up going to church with Sean, got really close with him. And I realized, like, he's doing the content stuff, too. I was like, hey, Sean, like, let me work for you for free, man. Let me just see what I can do with you. Let me see if I can do content for you. You know, that way you don't have to have any headway on that. I know what I'm doing here. I'll try to see if I can help you out.
Yeah.
First video I do for Sean it's his best video. 120,000 views, tons of leads pouring in the very first day I worked with him. And so from that point, I'm realized like, okay, like I know what I'm doing here, right?
Yeah.
We're on to something. So from there, you know, we ended up scaling really quickly. I was essentially operating as a freelancer, right? Just kind of going with clients, and I started to scale very quickly. I started to get tons of clients to the point where I'm like, I can't do this by myself anymore. Like I need a team. So I hired out an agency to do my editing and stuff like that. And let's just say I started this LLC in July, and right now it's September, about to be October, and we've scaled past 6 figures, seeing tons of success. And I'm actually still in the military right now. I have a couple months left. I'm doing an internship right now.
So you're doing SkillBridge?
I'm doing SkillBridge right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's kind of why you got the beard going. Wannabe beard, right? Kind of trying to grow it out, right? But
That's the Mexican beard. It's Puerto Rican beard right here, guys.
yeah. But anyways, that's kind of just like what's been going on and where my business is at, and fast forward to where I'm at today, man.
Okay,
So, yeah.
cool. So again, lots to unpack. Lots to unpack there with everything that you guys said, right? But Sean, let's go back to you and basically your earlier stages of the Marine Corps, right? Obviously, you had a need of joining the Marine Corps, but why the Marines? Why the Marines? You know, Dylan said it was because he was the hardest branch. He wasn't that hard of a close. Which, by the way, guys, this makes recruiting sound easy. like all of a sudden.
Well, because it is.
Just all of a sudden,
And I didn't know.
Everyone walks into your office ready to go. And for my recruiters out there, you guys know that is not the case.
It's like shooting
at all.
fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
Man, Dylan, you just gave so much so much bullets to this guy.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Sean, why the Marine Corps? Why not the Navy? Why not the Air Force?
Yeah, is it the hardest?
It is, yes, absolutely. So the reason why I chose the Marine Corps, I remember we had a college fair at my high school, and we had all the recruiters there lined up, and I just remember looking at them, and I didn't have the intention of joining. I just took every one of their brochures,
Yeah.
but I remember seeing them, and the only one that stood out to me was a Marine. Like
Why?
everyone, just he was squared away, he looked sharp, and I was like, man, the other guys, they kind of just look like, you know.
Okay, so when you guys are on me about it doesn't matter how you blouse your boots and cut your hair and square it away,
Absolutely.
right? Because what did you talk about? Marketing.
Yeah.
You're the brand.
There you go.
What did Sean say?
True.
Right? I saw
Yeah.
the recruiters, and the Marine was, what was he?
He was squared away. He was
The
only one
most squared away. So Army, all y'all other than take notes and stuff, okay?
No, it's so
Yeah,
true,
okay.
and I believe that first impression is everything. So
Whoa.
that's the first thing that I saw, and it just set such a high impression. And also, my dad was a Marine, even though I didn't really think to join the Marine Corps because of him. It was just that's what I decided that I was gonna look into. And then when I sat down, And I think it is true, like you said. I know that recruiting is very hard. It's very rare that someone just walks in and is like, "Hey, let me join the Marine Corps. Like, what do I need to do? Where do I sign?"
Yeah.
So that was pretty much me going in there, just because I didn't really have any other option for me. But I'm extremely grateful that I did. I got a lot of value from it. Helped me pretty much become who I am today. So.
How was that process for you? You know, and I mean, was it difficult for you? Were you in shape already? You know, how long were you in the delayed entry program?
Oh yeah, I was in the delayed entry program for almost too long, so 11 months.
11 months.
Wow.
Got you.
11
Wow,
months. I was in great shape at the time. I grew up surfing, playing sports.
Okay.
And I went in there. The recruiter was like, "How many pull-ups can you do?" I remember I did like 15 pull-ups. He's like, "How many crunches?" I did crunches there. I did like 100, and then he was like, "All right, you could join the Marine Corps." I was like, "Really? That's it?" Like, well, you just got to sign some papers. I was 17, so I remember my mom took me to the mall. She was walking around. I called her. I was like, "Hey, Mom, can you come to this, the spot over here, and we just got to sign some papers."
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
so,
man, because you were 17, huh?
I was 17, so.
Oh man, how was that conversation? How did that
It was
conversation
rough.
go?
I didn't get to close her right away. We had to go home, talk about it. And
So
then-
she was not supportive.
not in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Then-
That's usually how it is.
What was the like reaction?
I pretty much said, "Well, you can sign it for me, and I was kind of a punk kid. I said, "Or I'm gonna turn 18 and then I'm gonna sign it myself." And
That was what I used to coach my kids that were 17. I used to coach them to tell them that. It was like to tell their parents that. It was like, okay, so this is something that I'm doing, right? And that's when you have a strong commitment with your applicant or essentially your future Marine.
Right.
And that's what you tell them. It's like, man, this is something that you want to do, regardless of what your mom tells you. Yes or no. Is this something that you want to do? Yes or no. Yes, it's something you're gonna do. This is what you're gonna tell her, and you tell her exactly that.
Yes.
And then because that's what happened with me and my mom too. Like my mom didn't want to sign the paperwork because my dad was a Marine and they were divorced, so that relationship wasn't
Right.
great or whatever. But yeah, she was like, no, you're not gonna do that. And then I told her, Mom, you don't understand. As soon as I turned 18, this happened I think it was like October. And as soon as I turned 18 in February, I'm signing the documents. All you're doing is delaying me.
right.
So
Yeah.
so going
Do you regret joining?
No, not at all.
Would you go back and do it again if you could? Right now, knowing everything you know.
Absolutely, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though I feel like where I'm at in entrepreneurship has been great. I feel like I've been able to attain a high level of success in a short amount of time. I would do it again just for the experience, the structure, the people I've been able to meet. It's just been it's amazing. I feel like it's one of the best parts of my life.
Yeah, like it meant a lot to earn that title Marine.
Yes,
Where'd you go to boot camp?
San Diego.
Yeah, so
you knew
like
the
you're-
answer to that. You
But
set
I'm just
yourself
saying-
up. You set yourself up for that.
So you're
one.
an actual,
Oh my God.
like real,
Actual
for real Marine. Yeah, you're a real Marine. Okay.
Yeah. You gonna ask Dylan too? Go ahead. Ask him.
Dylan.
San Diego.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Ask him.
Yes, sir.
Of
I'm
course.
saying, so we're Albert's outnumbered, you guys.
Okay, so Dylan, I do have a question for you, right? Of course, you two have two completely different backgrounds in the Marine Corps. You were aircraft mechanic,
Yes.
and you were supply.
Yes.
All right, 3043.
Yes.
Okay,
Was that ground supply?
that is the
admin
administration
section.
supply.
Okay, because in the air wing they say you can't fly without supply. Do they say the same thing for
Bullets
you guys?
don't fly without supplies, like the thing.
Bullets don't fly without.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Yeah.
See, that's what I was trying to say in the other podcast.
And we do want bullets to fly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but actually, technically, the bullets still do fly without supplies, so that's kind of a lie. They actually do.
That was a
Right.
lot of.
Listen,
it's just-
whereas
he only was-
they
he
don't
was
fly
only in the
without
Marine Corps
supply.
for
It's a
4 years.
lie.
Yeah, it is a lie. It's a big lie.
So okay, so let me go ahead and ask you this question, right? With the job that you had, would you change anything different when in the moment that from the moment that you joined to the moment that you got out, or not really got out but went to Skill Bridge?
Right.
Would you've done anything different in your career? Like, let's say, for example, and the reason why I ask you that question is because a lot of applicants, kind of like yourself,
Yeah.
I was a recruiter. I was a very successful recruiter.
Right.
So something that I do see is a lot of applicants that go like that, they don't care. They just want to leave.
Yeah.
And those people are usually the ones that end up getting out after 4 years,
Right.
because the Marine Corps didn't live up to the expectation,
Right.
right? So going back to everything that you know now after your first 4 years, would you been like, oh man, instead of wanting to go, I probably should have taken the ASVAB again, so that way I could have gotten a better job, outside of the military? What would you have done?
So
different?
I would have done the same exact thing. I told my recruiter that I wanted to be an entrepreneur even before I knew I wanted to be my own boss, right?
Okay.
And I said, I like business. I like doing stuff like that. His name was Staff Sergeant Talbert, so I was talking to him about it. And he was like, okay, let's get you in, an administration, something like that. That'll probably be the closest thing to get you some quote unquote experience to go down that route in the future.
Okay.
So he landed me 3 different MOSs. It was like legal, supply, and accounting. It was like my 3 MOSs. And then when I got so those were the 3, right? And it was like,
oh man, that's cringy. That's only one job, guys. Just so y'all know. So what happens is, let me unpack that real quick.
yeah.
So what happens is, right? He showed you 3 different MOSs, but he only really showed you one program.
Right.
So the way that it works is by programs, right? Like you get to pick, like for example, I was combat support, and in combat support you have tankers, you have AAV, which is amphibious and assault vehicles, and then you have artillery, right? And then what happens is that's just one program.
Yeah.
So he's, oh yeah, that's great that you have these 3 jobs, but that was only one program. So just y'all know that when you go to your recruiting station and you ask your recruiter, make sure that he show you 3 different programs, not 3 different jobs.
Yeah.
Because within that job, and a lot of ones that they don't like to pick is like cooks, and a lot of people don't really understand that while they going in. So go ahead. What would you still done different?
So after getting out of boot camp, that's what it said. It just said those 3. It was going to be, from my understanding, it was going to be any one of those 3 jobs.
Okay.
And it ended up landing supply. I was like, cool, whatever. I'll get used to it, whatever.
It sounds like you didn't really like that.
I didn't really, no, I wasn't like fond of it. Like, yes, I got supply.
Why?
Like,
Why not?
just because, like, I feel like supply, like, it just sounds like it's tedious. Like, it just sounds like it's going to be, just at a desk doing it. And exactly, it is. It is.
Right.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Anyways, I get there, right? I'm at my supply job, and like, I would say after the course of a couple years of me doing it, it taught me a lot of managerial skills, right? And it teaches you about numbers, it teaches you about budgeting, it teaches you about all these things because you're managing millions of dollars for a unit, right? And there was this one point where my corporal was getting out, and I didn't have anybody else to help me. I was running my own section as a lance corporal, and my mass sergeant was really...
Was he the kind of corporal that was getting out for like the last 2 years of his contract?
Yes, yeah. So
Wow.
he was getting out.
So that's what we call dropping your pack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He
Oh, yeah.
dropped his pack.
Yeah, well, so one of them was dropping his pack. One of them was actually kind of training me, right? But the way he was teaching me just wasn't the greatest, so I had to learn a lot by myself.
Sure.
And I definitely had like a bulldog corporal, right? So like he was not like easy to talk to. He was like, do as I say, not as I do. Just do this, right? So I'm just kind of learning from him, and I didn't really learn from him, right? But I was managing my own section literally as a lance corporal, and it was so stressful. I would go home and I would just be stressed out, man. Like I'd like take work home. And it was just bad, right?
When you say home, you mean the barracks, or were you married?
Oh, no, I was married.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I would take it home, and like I just remember I would be so stressed out. But I remember I talked to my mom, and she was like, "This is teaching you managerial skills. You're learning how to manage stuff. You're learning what stress looks like, and you're having to like stay on top of all these different things and put out all these fires." And I was like, you know what? This will be very beneficial for when I have my own business one day, right?
Yeah.
And till this day forward, right? There's fires that I put out every single day. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you start scaling, right? There's fires here, there, right? But I'm used to the chaos. I am used to that feeling of having to put these little fires out because of supply, to be honest.
So would you have chosen a different MOS if you could have?
No, if I go back, the answer to that would be no. I definitely would just stick supply.
Yeah, why are aircraft mechanics better than supply Marines?
Oh man, dude, just aircraft mechanics. They're working on airplanes, dude. Come on, like they're actually doing something cool, right? Instead of being behind a desk.
I think a very good question of one of the lines that we go is, and I'm gonna ask you
Because
Sean.
this is weird because I was an aircraft mechanic and he was supply.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, let me.
So that's why I ask.
So, but I'm gonna ask you, Sean. So obviously you were working in a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment
Yes.
that you had probably a lot of responsibilities and probably needed a lot of quals for.
Yes.
Do you feel that it is fair if I were to put you as a corporal and Dylan as a corporal, that both of you guys will be getting paid the same, while he might be in an air conditioned unit, just simply crunching numbers on a computer while you're out there turning the wrench and then certifying aircraft? Do you think that's fair?
In the Marine Corps, I think it is. Outside of the Marine Corps, no, because I feel like, I don't know. I guess there's there's two ways I can go about this answer. I think that the other MOSs deserve to make more, but the structure of the Marine Corps, if we understand and look at it how it is, I mean, you know, we have to do what the needs of the Marine Corps is, and they simply can't afford that, right? So everyone who joins the Marine Corps, I feel like we're coming in knowing that, hey, this is what's going to be our base pay regardless of what job we have.
Yeah.
Getting out of the military, now, you know, that's a different story. I believe that if someone is working on multi-million-dollar equipment like aircraft, I believe that they should be paid a lot more than what maybe someone who sits behind a desk does.
Yeah,
So
but-
in the Marine Corps, you do not feel, are you locking in with, you do not feel that there should be pay differences between MOSs?
I think it would be.
So the grunt who does 10 years, he's a staff sergeant, knees are shot, back is shot, he's got 7
Right.
deployments.
I think that
Should he get
be
paid the same as the staff sergeant from
admin?
IPAC?
No, I think that
IPACian. Is that
IPAC,
So-
IPACian.
IPACian? Okay.
I believe that staff sergeant who's an 0311 or an infantryman, I believe that he should get paid more. I truly believe
Okay.
that.
Are there
truly
any
believe that.
other MOSs that you feel fall in that category?
I think any pretty much ground MOS where you're consistently in the field doing, you know, grunt work.
Yeah, is it because you think maybe is it like harder on your body? Is that what's kind of
Absolutely harder on your body, your mental. I feel like there's so many different things. Consistently away from family.
yeah?
I think that they deserve to be paid a lot more money.
Okay.
Got you. Okay.
Shout out to the grunts.
Yeah. Shout out to the grunts
Absolutely.
and the
We love you
aircraft
guys.
people too.
We do.
We love everyone.
I love you more.
But we just talk shit about it.
I never do.
So anyway, so
Science.
going back to you guys' career. Did any of you guys deploy?
Yeah. So.
Well, you deployed MSG,
Yeah.
Yes.
and
I
you
went
Is
on
that a deployment though?
it definitely is.
Can,
Yeah.
Can we count that as a deployment? Now, honest question. I'm not trying to talk shit.
Yeah, because you
But
get
honest
your
question.
overseas service, not your sea service.
Right. Yeah.
So he
Okay.
gets the different, not the sea service deployment that like you know a normal deployment would rate.
Right.
You get the overseas service, which is like you're stationed overseas,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
right? And you said you were in Baghdad for your first one.
Yes.
You got any crazy stories from any of the embassies?
I think Iraq, we were consistently getting hit.
Hit
know,
with pizzas? Okay.
yeah,
just-
so there's a lot of conflict going on during that time. I was there for 2 phases of Operation Inherent Resolve.
What years were these?
This was 2000. I got there 2016. I left 2018.
Okay.
So I was there. I got extended there. So there was a lot of conflict going on. Obviously, we're not like in the middle. We're in the green zone of where Baghdad is. It's pretty much like the safest part of the country, I guess, where we were at. But there was still a lot of conflict going on as far as people not wanting us there. So ISIS and the Shia militia didn't want us to be there. So they were always trying to throw rockets at us and do things to try to get us out of the country. So it felt like normal life though, kind of hearing explosions and
Yeah. Because you were there for a year.
I was there for almost a year and a half.
Year and a half.
So,
Yeah.
Right, I'm not trying to compare myself to any of the grunts who have been out there and and did their time and
No, of
in the
course.
crap, but yeah, so
Let me ask you this: from you're an MSG Marine. What did you think about, or did you even hear the story about the young MSG Marine recently that was in social media, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and everybody labeled him a rat, and all these people from his post got fired? Did you hear about that story at all?
I actually saw it on your TikTok. I saw it come
Wow.
up.
Okay. Shout out. What's that? Okay. What did you think as an MSG Marine? Is that like?
What was like the full story? Because I didn't really understand what was going on. Because I saw the second part of it, and I was like trying to figure out where's the first part of the video. I saw it was something with the U.S. ambassador.
Yeah. So basically, what ended up happening was they had several members breaking curfew,
Okay.
and it was like a long line of all these procedural infractions on the program that really were being led by the detachment commander, who was a staff sergeant, and the Marine, the corporal, he reached out to his previous detachment commander, and that is the Marine who kind of that's how stuff got out into the open.
Okay.
So the young NCO was asking for advice.
Okay. And then everything opened up from there.
Yep.
Okay. I feel like I feel like what he did wasn't wrong, because maybe he felt like he couldn't talk to his direct staff NCO. So
Like, are curfew infractions, are they common out there? Stuff like that?
oh,
Like,
absolutely, like more than the command, the head command would know.
that's what I'm after.
Yeah.
So when you saw that, are you like, oh man, dude, that stuff happens all the time? Like,
Happens all the time, but unless
so why is this guy making a big deal? Unless it's what?
right, it just honestly it happens all the time, but unless something big came from it, international incident or something bad happened, then obviously that's when it gets highlighted. But to be honest, Marines were breaking curfew almost every day, almost every weekend on the program, and that's all post across the board. So I feel like there was a culture within the Marine security guards that we're gonna take care of each other, and as long as we're not getting into trouble, we're going to enjoy our time out here at this post. As long as we're showing up to post and we're ready to respond when needed. Do I think the curfew is important? Absolutely, because we don't know, we're not familiar with that country that we're in or what kind of threats are out there, or what good happens after 3 a.m. anyways. It's not like the curfew is midnight.
I've had some great things
Right.
happen. I'm just,
No, I mean, yeah,
we're amazing.
Some amazing things.
Stuff. I don't want to be,
Italy? Come
Whoa.
on now.
Oh man.
Come
Right,
on
but
now.
a lot of trouble happens, after those hours. I was, one of the Marines who partook in, some of the curfew after hours, but I enjoyed it. But all of the Marines made sure we took care of each other and nothing happened. So
Yeah, because it was like one Marine was on post. They were trying to get him to basically doctor the logbooks.
Right.
That Marine reached out to the NCO who got labeled as a rat. The NCO who got labeled as a rat reached out to the previous detachment commander, and it sounded like it was just from the top down and stuff. But yeah.
No, but and let me ask you this though, regarding this specific situation. How, in your experience, how much do the head command, the HQ, know about some of these things, and how much of them really turn a blind eye until something like this comes up, and then all of a sudden they want to throw the book at that individual Marine, right? Did you have that in your experience?
I think the McKessage command believes that the deck commander has everything under control, but to be honest, it's not always that way. Sometimes we'll have a staff NCO that comes out to the detachment and they don't really, they're there to have a good time as well, which I think is important, but sometimes they kind of bend the rules a little bit. And then sometimes it's all the NCOs and junior Marines that are at the post that just want to do whatever they want, and then they're trying to do everything that they can to get the deck commander, kicked off the post to find somebody
Is
else.
there a lot of buddy, or do you have gunnies and staff sergeants that are deck commanders? Are they like straight up first name with like Lance Corporal watchstanders drinking beer? Woo!
I think that the smaller detachments, like the smallest ones, like the 1 and 7s, one staff NCO, 7 NCOs and below, I think those ones are more buddy, but I think it's still professional in the work environment. So after hours, it's like, we're still calling him Gunny, hey Gunny, but we're still able to have a good time. have
After
beers
hours.
together
You're not like, hey, Sean.
at work.
And you're
Not
like,
at
hey,
work.
Kenny. It's
Right.
good to see you, Randy.
Right. Even for me, like, even if I had like a comfortable relationship with my senior leadership, I still felt like I needed to provide that respect. Even if you were my sergeant major and you're like, hey, just call me Barry, I would still call you sergeant major.
Yeah.
Just because
Sergeant
would
Major Barry.
Right. I would never want to break that level of respect.
Sure.
Right? So that's how I was personally, but I did know that there was a lot of detachments where they were super buddy, and yeah.
Now, one question that probably the final question, and we move on to the next subject. What piece of advice would you give to the Marines? Because everyone and their mother wants to do MSG duty,
Right.
but for some reason, they all end up being drill instructors or recruiters.
Right.
So what piece of advice would you give to those Marines right now that are looking to go into the MSG program?
Right. I feel like if that's like what you truly want, like, hey, I want to be a Marine security guard. I do not want to be a drill instructor or recruiter. So if you're leaving your fate up
Which
to
is
the Marine
weird.
Corps,
Yeah.
right? If you're leaving your fate up to the Marine Corps, then just obviously wait to get histed. But if you're wanting to be an MSG, you can submit a package as a corporal. That's what I did. You can submit a package as a corporal. You can submit a package as a lance. As long as your command approves you to go, there's waivers for everything. So you could get a waiver for time on station. So you can do that to avoid, I guess, to avoid the hiss. But if you plan on staying in, then I mean, you're probably going to get hit with it. later
Okay,
down the
but
road.
one, to piggyback off what the CO said. Okay, just I used to say that all the time. It's a piggyback.
Yeah, of course,
we
of
love
course.
piggyback rides. Anyways, no, it's not a SDA if you're not a staff NCO.
Correct.
So what I've seen is a Marine, he goes out there, crushes it on MSG, comes back as a sergeant or even a staff sergeant, right? In your case. And then, we were on deployment, we were on the 11th MEU, and he gets histed, boom, recruiting. And he's only been in the fleet, like literally barely hit his, time on station and requirement, which is different depending on what you do. But and he went recruiting in New Jersey.
You know, it's crazy. It's a good thing that you brought that up because I sold a home to a Lance Corporal when it was one of my first sales in real estate. Sold a home to a Lance Corporal, and now he's a sergeant. And he hit me up this last few days, and I think that's something that's really good, right? And I think that's a lot of people see the value of utilizing me as a real estate agent because they don't only get the sale, they get the service after the sale, and not just in real estate, but also in their careers, in their military careers. So this Victor hit me up. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. And he was like, Albert, I did exactly what you told me. I went to the ASP because I told him to go to the academic skills program because he wanted to lab move. And he was a corporal. And whenever he got histed as a corporal. He's a grunt, by the way. So in my opinion, I'm like, okay, well, peacetime. We don't really need that many grunts right now. So who's going to be the first ones to get histed?
Right.
It's going to be the grunts. It's going to be the mortar T guys. It's going to be this huge MOSs that don't really need that much of their services right now. But it's kind of unfair to him. And
Why?
the reason why it's kind of unfair to him is because now he doesn't have recruiting station preference. He doesn't get all these other things that he would have gotten if he would have
Volunteered?
He would have volunteered. And it was I was telling him like, man, explain that to your sergeant major because he was stressing out. He was asking me for advice. It was like, man, but I'm not gonna get duty station preference even though I really want to go to RS Sacramento.
So what are you telling the Marines? They should volunteer?
Yes, 100%. If you're planning on staying in the Marine Corps, volunteer. Do not, like Sean said, do not leave it up to the Marine Corps.
Yeah, it ain't gonna work. I'm gonna tell you. I know, and you want to know why?
Why?
Because one of the most important things for a Marine, and first-term Marines especially, is to be good at your job.
Yeah.
And when I say job in the context of a first-term Marine, it's always MOS. It's always MOS. They will 10 out of 10 times look up to the gunny, the master sergeant, the master guns. That's who they're going to look at because they're going to go, wow, this guy, he's the burning bush of the MLS.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
that
it doesn't
volunteer thing is difficult to get a Marine to go, yeah. Because I've read these HIS screening packages. I was as a sergeant major, literally from a sergeant. This is going to be detrimental to my career.
Yeah.
All this, that, and the third. And I'm like, this is like a huge career enhancer. Like, the first thought that goes through my mind is like, you got that from somebody, and I'll guarantee it was your staff NCOs or officers.
Yeah, but here's what I have to say to that though. It does not take, unless you're in one of those high speed, low drag MOSs. Like I think aircraft, mechanics. Yes, it's gonna take you a while for you to learn your job, right? And for you to be really proficient at your job. But a grunt that has to do the same thing over and over again, like the AI drills over and over again, you'll be proficient in that in three to 6 months, depending on how many crayons you eat a day.
Stupid. Well, it's not that easy though, because let's say I'm a grunt, I'm an 0311, I get histed, I go recruiting, I come back 3 years, I'm a staff sergeant.
Okay.
Now, let's say I haven't even been to, I forget what they called it. It's IULC is for staff NCOs to be an 0369.
Yes.
Before that, it was ISLIC. It's not called ISLIC anymore. It's Infantry Squad Leaders Course. I don't know what it's called. Correct me in the comments. But, you had to do that stuff. And it's just like the Marines I would see come from security forces. They didn't have that experience, and they'd be getting their teeth kicked in on the daily from some salty Lance Corporal who's a team leader.
Yeah, but I think that's the reason why the Marine Corps also, and not just the Marine Corps, I think this applies to all branches of the military, right? That those schools can also be utilized as kind of like a reset button for the Marines to have a lot of experience, to share those experience, but maybe to come back to best practices that they haven't been practicing for a while. And for those Marines that have been out of the MOS because of X or Y,
Yeah.
to actually learn that, to put everyone in the same bucket together and to learn those things again, and so that way you can be proficient.
That's a big reason why it's popular for them to do combat instructor. It's not because it's like easier for them, because being a combat instructor, I never did it, but it is a butt kicker. But they do it because it's a community thing, and they do want to stay proficient in their craft and like kind of stay in that pipeline, because before, think about it, combat instructors was not always a SDA.
Yeah.
And
should it be an SDA even?
Well, you ask the grunts. The grunts fought for this for years, and the reason why was because they were going to be drill instructors, and then free 99, free of charge, they have to go be combat instructors. And it was a tax on the MOS. So you got the Ockfield sponsor, the occupational, sponsors of Master Guns, all these guys trying to manage this field, and it's like a butt kicker.
Yeah.
So that's an argument, though, that should it be an SDA. I used to think that grunts went and did it because it's like the easy button, but it's not.
Yeah. Okay. Dylan, back to you.
Yes, sir.
When was the moment? Was there a specific moment throughout your career that you said, "Yeah, for sure, this I'm getting out"? And when was that moment?
When I started making money. So I started making real money from my business. Like when I noticed my business income was replacing my military income, I said, I'm out. I said, this is it. What's that?
Was there a number that you associate with that? Like, are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you want me to discuss the number?
Yeah.
Well, what do you call real? What do you call real money? Because real money has different meanings to different people.
So yeah, exactly, right. So real money can mean a ton of things, right? But for me, real money was, think about this. I went 9 months with like making $0, and I was working around the clock, $0 made. When I made my first 1,000, I was like, okay, this is possible, right? Like wow, it wasn't just $1,000 to me. There was an emotional attachment to
It represented a lot.
Oh yeah, it was 9 months of grind, failure, just wow, I just made money come out of nowhere, right? Real money was like, obviously 6 figures and above. But when I noticed that I got to that point where I replaced my monthly income, which was at the time $6,000, when I was making that in business, I was like, okay, like if I just keep doing this, if I just keep thinking logically and like just expanding my business, like this can get serious, right?
Okay.
Because one client ideally is like $6,000 a month. Like that's one person, right?
Yeah.
Once I reached that, which was about 7-8 months out of my military career, I was like, okay, I'm getting out of the military. Like, I want to do this. I'm going to go all in. I'm just going to put everything I got into this and just see where it takes me.
Man, so you doubled your income.
Yeah.
Were you a corporal?
I was a corporal.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
34. So
That had to feel really good.
it felt absolutely amazing.
And are you still married and everything? or-
So yeah, still currently married. And I'm still getting out. So I'm still getting paid like the military income, obviously.
Yeah.
And then everything my business is making me. But it was very hard to balance. Like before this internship, it was super hard to balance business and Marine Corps, right? Like as we all know, right? The
Sure.
military is very demanding.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was with EOD, right? So EOD has been the chillest. Like they are the chillest dudes, man. Like I love
Shout out EOD.
EOD community. Like I love
Explosive Ordnance Disposal, for
Yes,
those of you
sir.
guys that don't know.
Those guys are really cool. They're jokesters. They're cool dudes, man. And the schedule was quite open, right? So, 2-hour chows, gym from 7 to 9. So, it's gym. So you don't have
Don't discuss the
Oh, you know what? Okay,
intricacies of EOD.
maybe that's a little too much.
Don't discuss the intricacies. Somebody at headquarters Marine Corps is gonna see this out. We need to revamp the EOD program.
Yeah. Okay. No. We're in the we're working. We get work done. We go to the gym.
I got you
right?
guys, EOD. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see you.
Yeah. Well, no,
Or we don't see you.
But yeah. So,
Skaters.
Yeah. No, they work. They put in hours, man. We leave at like 5, right? So, depending on what you think really work is, right? Every MOS is different. But yeah, so just working.
Well,
with
I don't
MD.
think you should even train to a time. I think you should train to like
Yeah, to
standard,
proficiency.
right.
to proficiency. Get the mission accomplished
100%.
and get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
I don't win any moral victories by keeping you here till 1900 because
Yeah.
that's
There you
what
go.
Clint Eastwood would have done in Heartbreak Ridge, you dirtbag. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So
it's
Sean,
crazy.
what about you? When was the specific moment, right? Actually, let me ask you a different question before I ask you this one. When you joined the Marine Corps, obviously you went through boot camp, you went through MCT, you went through your MOS school. Did you want to stay in the Marine Corps? You were like, yes,
I did.
because obviously you re-enlisted, right?
Yes, I had the intention of doing 20 when I first enlisted.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. At
Okay.
least 20.
And what was the moment, kind of like what I asked Dylan, what was the moment that you were like, yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah, so there's quite a few actually. One of them,
Wow.
like I said,
That was a lot of air. Man, he took it all the air.
one of them specifically was so my wife and I have a stepson. So there was a custody issue. I was stationed in Arizona, and my family was in California. So in order for me to see my family, I had to go to California on the weekends. So
Yeah, which is a beautiful place.
absolutely, yeah. So I told my command this; they were very aware of it, and I told them, hey, if there's any way I can get to California, whether it's doing like an I can do active reserves, anything that I can do, I want to stay in the Marine Corps, but I feel like I can be used another way outside of aviation. Because like we talked about earlier, I went so long outside of my MOS, I came back as a staff NCO, and there's NCOs who were more proficient in the MOS than me, and now I had to lead them. So I said I can be used somewhere else. And then the Marine Corps gave me orders to North Carolina, and I said,
Interesting.
I can't take my family. Like now, I have to make a decision. Do I want to deny these orders, or what do I need to do? So that was one of them. And this was
This is
when I
after
was
how
like-
many years?
This was after 7 years.